Hey everybody, it's Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Blood Bowl 7's Skaven edition. So what we're doing is we're looking at all the teams in Blood Bowl 2020, whether it's the rulebook, the Teams of Legend PDF, or the NAF's expanded teams, and we're putting together some of the 4 or 5 best rosters to use that team in Blood Bowl 7s. If you're not familiar with Blood Bowl 7s, it is a quick play variant played with smaller teams on a smaller pitch with smaller player selection, and it comes in much quicker. We're talking 45 minutes to an hour, absolute tops for 7s. Great format, I love it. If you want to see more about it, you can watch our intro video on 7s in this playlist, or go and watch one of the 2 series that we have, basically showing a league of 7s games being played, 7 Super Series. It is 2016 rules. We haven't got around to being, honestly, allowed to safely film this the Blood Bowl 2020 edition, but we will absolutely get there. So what we're going to do in a minute is we're going to look through some of the best rosters for Blood Bowl 7s for Skaven. Now you guys will know by now that Skaven are one of my favourite teams, and honestly the strengths and weaknesses that they feel in 7s is a brilliant summary of where Skaven are in my heart. So, strengths, gutter runners. You can only take up to 4 positionals in a 7s team. Everybody else has to be linemen. So you're not going to get to run 4 gutter runners without having to give up some of the other positionals. However, if you've got 1, 2, 3 or 4 gutter runners, it is gonna be great fun. These guys running around at movement 9 with Edge 2+ and dodge. They start at such a high point, and they just get better. But you don't even need them to be better. They are the fastest player in the game, and they are by far the slipperiest. So gutter runners are absolute touchdown machines, but also, and if you've watched our Theory Thursday episode, they do very well at 2-die up blocks as well. So a gutter runner, sending him in to sneak into a cage to just take a chance at knocking down the ball carrier, is way more effective than people think. So you've always got that in your arsenal as a Skaven coach. The thrower got better as well. So movement 7 sure hands pass with Edge 3+ has always been faster than most other races' throwers. Now it is also better. At passing 2+, if you can pick up the ball on a 3+ with a reroll, which is apparently the most cursed roll in the game, you are passing it off on a 2+ with a reroll. So if you watched my game against Ian on the channel, I was running Skaven, I think he was running Halflings. The thrower being able to run 7 squares around, pick up the ball, and then pitch it 2+ with a reroll 3 more squares to a gutter runner meant I could travel basically to America and back in a single turn against Ian. So in 7s, the ability to swoop in, grab that ball, and just pitch it off for 3 squares, basically for free. It's basically a 3-square handoff, and that is a massive portion of any Blood Bowl pitch, let alone a smaller one in 7s. Now the weakness of the Skaven team has not changed. It does get slightly better. If you consider the fact there is no line of scrimmage war, there is no line of slaughter in Blood Bowl 7s, you will not suffer opening blocks against linemen, which means you've got more chance to keep the linemen in the game. However, as everybody on this team, with the exception of the Blitzers and the Rat Ogre, have armor 8+, not armor 9+ or anything better, this team is still very vulnerable to removals. And with the positionals being quite expensive, medium expensive, they're not bad, but they are still pricey, your team is going to suffer. So let's start off with a bit of fun. We've got the max pass build option here. 590k brings this roster up. Some of these rosters are going to be under 600. I'm going to leave you to figure out how you want to spend the spare cash. It depends on your format, but I'm a big fan of chucking that money into assistant coaches. If you're using the standard Blood Bowl 2020 kickoff table, that's the best way to sneak your way into getting an extra reroll. So the max pass roster has 1 thrower and 3 line rats as your core. That thrower is there to follow around, grab the ball, and then pass. Pass to one of your 3 gutter runners. So this roster, 3 gutters, 1 thrower, and 3 line rats, is built as an absolute offensive machine. That thrower being able to 2+, 3+, 4+, 5+ the ball with a reroll to one of 3 2+ catching movement 9 dodging targets means I don't know how you stop this offense. It's not automatic, and your Skaven coach is going to have to roll some dice, but they do have 1 reroll in the bank at least. The interesting one about this is because it is primarily throwing based, the thrower can be developed in several ways. Skaven are tier 1, so the likelihood of you having much more than 2 skills is pretty low. You can take that and put leader, and then you've got 2 rerolls on your team, or you can take accurate and go for a 1+, 2+ quick pass scenario. That is a lot of offense. The downside of this roster is that you have no combat skills at all. You've got sure hands and you've got 3 dodge, which is a great series of skills, but you don't have block. You don't have wrestle. You don't have any removal in Mighty Blow or any strength, because everybody is 3 or 2 here. So it is a vulnerable team on defense, and you are going to suffer casualties if you are throwing your gutter runners into a bad situation or just lining your line rats up to stall. They're going to get overnumbered, they're going to get overwhelmed, outnumbered, and out-murdered, essentially. So the team will be vulnerable on defense. Best way to counter that is to take 1 gutter runner with wrestle, and just risk that cheeky 2-die up block. Theory Thursday will talk you through that. You've got 1 reroll. If the thrower has a leader reroll, that's 2 rerolls. It only needs to work once. So you can pull it off, and you've got 3 gutter runners. 1 goes in there, takes the risk, pops the ball out. That ball's going to scatter. And you've got 2 great opportunities there with movement 9 players as well. So 1 turnover touchdown is going to set you up for a 2 or 3-0 victory, and that is where you want to be. Okay, we've done max pass. Now we're going to do max strength. So this roster comes in at 565. Again, probably want to be chucking on 3 assistant coaches to that as well. Rat Ogre, 2 blitzers, 1 thrower, and 3 line rats means that you have the most combat power available to a Skaven team in this single build. So 3 line rats and the thrower, a pretty solid combo here. Those 3 line rats are going to do a good job. They're movement 7, they're strength 3, their armor is a little bit weak, but actually as far as core linemen go, they're in a really good shape. That thrower with movement 7 and sure hands is going to do a great job. Now what you can do is change the thrower out for a gutter runner instead. And this is the interesting thing. Do you take the 3+ sure hands, or do you take the Edge 2+? It's up to you. There is upside to both. The thrower is more resilient because it is stronger, and it does technically have a better chance of picking up the ball. That 3+ with a reroll, I think, statistically being ever so slightly better than a 2+. But the... Is that right? It might be right. But the gutter runner has the movement there and dodge. The fact is you can fit either one into this roster. You can't have any more because of the positional limits. So whatever you want to do to move the ball, that's down to you. Whether it's gutter runner or thrower, I don't think there's a bad choice there. Talking of things I don't think a bad choice, 2 blitzers. So having both these blitzers available, they're your scoring threat. They are solid on defense. They are really solid on offense. These guys are fantastic. Movement 7, strength 3, armor 9+ with block. They get general and strength on singles, mutations on doubles, so these guys can expand upon. Like I said, the chance of you being able to get a double skill here in your skill package at tier 1 is pretty limited, but that does mean that you might get a strength skill, and Mighty Blow on a blitzer is never a bad thing, and neither is guard, so some really good options there. And then you've got the Rat Ogre. The Rat Ogre is fantastic in 7s. Movement 6, strength 5, frenzy, mighty blow. This thing is a removal machine. It is fantastic. Now, you are going to struggle a little bit with animal savagery. It might occasionally take out one of your own line rats, but if you need to blitz, and there's a lot of open space in 7s, if you need to blitz with that Rat Ogre, as long as you are willing to risk an armor roll against your line rat, it will never fail you. And that is a massive boost in my opinion, because I would rather suffer a lost line rat to have my Rat Ogre not lose the blitz in a really important turn. And it is way better to take essentially a 4-die blitz if you are blitzing with frenzy than it is anything else. So the Rat Ogre is going to absolutely perform brilliantly, and so are those blitzers. Skill-wise, the Rat Ogre taking Jugs, if you're going to be blitzing with him, taking Juggernaut is going to mean that he is going to have a great time ripping things apart with Frenzy, and having removal to help you just even keep on pace with the attrition game when it comes to Skaven doing Skavening things. That is fantastic. And then we've got the Roger Mix. So 560, again, 40k there to play with. 1 Rat Ogre, 1 Blitzer, 1 Gutter Runner, 1 Thrower, and 3 Line Rats. So I believe there's a thing you can do here if you want to increase your numbers, is you can demote the Thrower to a standard Line Rat and you'll get 2 line rats total instead. You'll have enough cash left over to take an extra body, giving you 8 players. It depends on how you're feeling about the risk. I actually think running the thrower is going to be a bit more beneficial for you. Now, the idea of this roster is that you get the full spread of Skaven awesome. You get the Rat Ogre for the removal. You get the Blitzer to be great at everything. You get a Gutter Runner to be great at everything. And you get a Thrower to just be an absolute show-off when it comes to the game. They will each independently do their own thing, but what it does do is it means you've got 2 blitzers essentially. You've got the Rat Ogre, and then you've got that support in the actual blitzer. And the Thrower and the Gutter are your ball retrieval, removal, and score machines. Standard line rats are not bad at all, so the mixed Roger gives you a bit more excitement. It is slightly less consistent because you don't have a dual package of anything, but it's the closest thing to having a toolkit offense that you can get. It's probably better defense than some of our other rosters because you've got that full spread of players. It's just a shame you only have one of each. We had to do it. We've got the Gutter pack. This one comes in at 590. Take an assistant coach. Maybe you'll swing an extra reroll. 4 Gutter Runners, 3 linemen, 1 reroll, 75 touchdowns. So I've seen this roster played a couple of times. People love it. It is not as good as you would think. It's kind of like, you know how stunty coaches, they like to run the dice. If I roll hot, this will go great. If I roll not, this will not go great. This is a very similar role to here. You've only got 7 players. All of them are armor 8+. 4 of them are strength 2. Yeah, they've got dodge. So you are going to suffer 1 Gutter Runner and 1 line rat at least in the first half. That doesn't mean you cannot score though, because you're still going to be left with a ton of movement and a ton of agility. So the Gutter pack has an incredibly strong offense, but your defense is going to rely on blocking with people who do not have block, or just taking cheeky 2-die attacks on ball carriers and cages. It is risky. You have to play real tight here. All of your advantage is on offense. This is going to be an incredible one to score with, but honestly, you're going to struggle on defense. However, because of the way sevens is, if you can get kick on a line rat, maybe use a skill there to do that, you can drop that ball quite close. Actually, that's not entirely fair. When it comes to Gutter Runners, it doesn't matter where the ball is. They've got the movement to get there and get on it. And I tell you what, having 4 and all of them being movement 9 with agility 2+ dodge means they are going to be able to work their way in. You can swarm the ball if you give yourself a chance, and all you need to do really most of the time is break the serve just once for you to be able to pull out a 2-0 win, and that is key. And the gutters here, if you are willing to throw gutters at a problem, you will be able to win quite handily. But we come to it finally. This is my pick for a sevens team with Skaven. Okay, it's the mixed reroll. You get 2 blitzers, 1 gutter runner, 1 thrower, and 3 line rats for 600k. That's 7 players. That's 2 players with armor 9+ and block. By the way, they've got movement 7. You've got 1 player with movement 9, edge 2+ dodge. That's the gutter runner. You've got 1 movement 7, sure hands passing 2+ pass player with the thrower. That can take leader to get you a reroll. 3 line rats that I consider to be some of the better linemen, I think, for sevens. And you've already got 1 team reroll there. So if you take leader on that thrower, you're rocking 2 rerolls, 2 blockers, 1 sure hands, and 1 dodge. This is probably one of the most complete teams in Blood Bowl. It is a bit of a shame you can't fit the Rat Ogre in here. So the other mixed roster, the Roger mix, where you've got 1 of each player, is awesome. But you're downgrading a Rat Ogre and getting yourself a reroll, and that is probably something I am willing to accept. You've got those blitzers with that block. They're going to be great on offense, they're going to be great on defense. You've got the gutter runner and you've got the thrower to just absolutely max opportunities and offense. I think this roster is going to be seriously powerful. You are maxed out in cash, so there's not an awful lot you can do to change anything else out without losing that reroll. But you know what, I'm really happy with this roster. The only thing you could potentially do is no, I like it as it is. So with this roster, you get the 1 speedy guy, you get your thrower, you get 2 great blockers, and the whole team is so fast. This team is built to capitalize on mistakes your opponent makes. You've got enough players and they've got enough skills to be able to pounce, just drive home that victory. I love this roster. It is a little bit less exciting than the 1 thrower 3 gutter build, for example, but it's going to be more consistent. You're going to be able to brawl, and if you can bash with Skaven, it just opens the window to dash with Skaven, and that's why I think this roster is so good. However, I don't think you're going to be at a massive disadvantage if you run any of the rosters we've just talked about. And the great thing about Sevens is if you're playing a short tournament or an evening of Sevens games, so that's 3 games in 3 and a bit hours, just take the gutter meme list and just have a great time. If you lose the games, you're going to have lost them in 30 minutes. That's quite fine. Most Sevens events are resurrection, so that does kind of give you an advantage as a Skaven player because you're not going to be playing most of your league with a bunch of journeymen. Anyway, guys, I'm done gushing about Sevens, about Skaven in Sevens. They're good. Skaven are great. Sevens is fast. Some games won't go your way, but a lot of them will. I predict Skaven to end up probably one of the top 5 teams in Blood Bowl Sevens. They've got the potential, and they don't suffer the attrition quite so much. And as a Skaven coach, I'm okay with it. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know in the comments how broken you think Skaven are in Sevens. And I'll catch you guys soon with some more Blood Bowl content. Thanks for watching. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.